Hey YouTube, just showing you how I go about testing the gears on a used bottom end, or just for this bike in particular, being a 1976 yz80 bottom end, and I'm going to show you how I run through the gears and test the bearings on the inside. And at a later video, I'm going to take apart the clutch pack so you can see how something that's been sitting for a long time has the pressure plates and everything is just tight. The clutch pack is going to come off in one piece. First of all, how we're going to do this is we're going to use these bits right here. These are from Harbor Freight. You can pick them up pretty much anywhere. Amazon, Harbor Freight has them on hand pretty much all the time. It comes with 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch drives for your sockets to chuck them up to your drill. The one we're going to use today is going to be the 3/8, and we're going to hook it up to the flywheel. But what we're going to do first is we're going to gently turn over the engine here just to make sure that the bearings and everything are loose. I do have oil inside inside the bearings, so the bearings are oiled right now. So when we start running up the RPMs, it's not gonna do any damage. Not that it would, because we're not running any faster than a few thousand RPM. The yellow bands that you see right here, I'm going to use to support the connecting rod so it doesn't go flopping back and forth when you are hitting it with the drill on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I just tested to make sure that the bearings are nice and loose. There's no rusting, there's no grabbing, there's no debris inside here. I flushed out the whole insides with parts washer, and then threw some 2-cycle oil that we're going to be using, threw it in there so that it keeps the bearings and everything lubed, along with the needle bearings inside here. Let's go ahead and chuck up our adapter to our socket. This is first going to go right on to here, and that's going to turn our flywheel while we're running through the gears. Now this just pops in, give it a little tighten it up. Okay, make sure that it's spinning in the right direction as the engine would be turning if it were together. So now what we're going to do is, from keeping this connecting rod from flopping all over the place here, let's go to the yellow bands here, and I'll show you how to set those up. We're just very easily going to slip them through the connecting rod. I got to reach over here, and we're going to slip them over the cylinder bolt, or the cylinder bolts here that come out of the block. You just slip the whole cylinder top end right down on it, and that's one. We're going to use 3 rubber bands. Make sure that they're all the same size, so and strength, so that they're good elasticity, because you don't want to lose them in here, because picking them out would really not be a whole lot of fun, and it would just take away from your time trying to get this just tested and done. You can also use this time to test out the spark. If you have, oh, missed one. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay, you can test the spark if you have a coil to this wire right here. This just simply goes up to the ignition system coil that would be mounted on the bike, and by spinning this over, you can test the spark with a spark plug. Just put it on the engine, done deal. But today we're focusing on the gears. So this is a 5-gear bike, obviously, because it's not a 6. It's a little older, and we have number 3 going in, over the top, and over the top again, and we're going to slip these down. Now, you don't want them all the way at the top of the stroke, because it's going to pull down really hard. and you don't want them at the bottom of the stroke because it's going to stretch them up really high. So what I do is I put it right about the middle of the stroke, which is right there. Make sure that they're all even, or roughly even. And we're going to run through the gears right now. You can just see by just turning by hand, if the piston were on, this is how it would move in the cylinder. So it moves just straight up and down. So let's chuck up our drill and just slowly turn over just to see how it works before we start switching gears here. Okay, it's moving nice and even. Nothing is, it sounds, let's speed it up a little bit. Sounds good. Nothing's clanking around, nothing's banging, nothing's grinding is really the big thing what we're listening for. Now you may not hear on the camera, but there is no grinding. If you do hear grinding, then there's something wrong with your ears. So let's, it's in neutral right now, so let's go ahead and hit, just start going, and we'll hit first, and you'll see the sprocket start to turn. First gear being down. Okay, got good first gear. First gear is hitting. Go back to neutral, and it stops. Moves easy. Second gear, gotta give it a little punch sometimes. There we go. Second gear. Third, right there. Fourth, and fifth gear. So that's 1 down and 4 up. So now we're in fifth gear and we are flying down the road if everything was put together. So let's go back down. We're 5, 4, 3, 2, and neutral. Oops, hit past there. There we go. Neutral. And now we're back to neutral again. Now, if we want to speed this up a little bit, we can show how it's going to be running through the gears. Again, the clutch pack, we're going to deal with that a little bit later on in another video. But this is just to show you how I test to make sure that the gears are functioning correctly, that all the, so I don't have to split the case right now. There is oil in the gear case, just so that you know that as well too. So you never want to run it dry because there are pieces in there. It's not moving at like really fast, but you do want to make sure that everything stays lubed and you don't have any scoring happening with it. So let's go ahead and speed this up a wee bit, and we'll just kind of go through. Down is first, second, third, fourth, fifth gear, and that's it. There's no more. There's fifth gear. Fifth gear is hauling. Now we're just going to drop back down to fourth. We're 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're going to try to gently hit neutral. There we go. We did it. And this is, everything is moving nicely. I don't have the coil hooked up, but I'm pretty sure if I were to have the coil hooked up right now, I would get a pretty nasty shock. So that is how I would test my the lower end. But always first rotate it slowly so that you can tell that the gears and everything, nothing's binding, nothing is nothing's going to hit. So that's one of the little tricks that I got there. I'm just going to take this off right now, and I have a different cover because this one's got some JB Weld. It's not bad JB Weld, but it's just, I don't do JB Weld. Not a big fan of JB Weld. So this whole cover right here is going to come off, and I'm going to show you behind here what we're looking at the clutch pack, and why, if you have a bike sitting for so long, you have to pull the clutch pack apart and separate the fiber discs from the steels, because everything is compressed right now, and for however long this has been sitting, it's compressed. So those fiber discs are they're sealed right to those steels, and I'll show you that at a later time. Thank you very much for this for your time. Again, here's the rubber bands holding it nice and tight, and it's It's a good gearbox, so on to the next. Have a good one, and take care.